Hello! 16 days to go. I think it's 16 days. Yesterday we talked about sled push. Today we're going to talk about sled pull. Now, a lot of the things I said about sled pull are the same with this in terms of there is great benefit in practicing the technique. I'm going to talk about a couple of specific things. But again, it's that generalized kind of gym training. You don't need a sled to be able to get proficient at the sled. You need to have good arms and legs and be used to kind of pulling and things like that. So I'll go over some of the things that we do and how some of these will hopefully be kind of helpful. So again, in the same vein as the sled push, with the pull, we go heavy and we go long. So, that means that on the day, and equally, as I said yesterday, it's just as true here. Every time we do the pull and do a simulation at full weight, we're like, is that it? Have we taken too many plates on? Because it does seem a very light weight. So, which is good. And I'm hoping to benefit from that on the day. Now, a couple of Hyrox specific things that I think are important is they've tightened up some of the rules on the box. So you have a box that you're pulling within. You mustn't touch any of the lines. You must keep your rope within the box at all times. Your partner cannot help you. You have to organize that. So that's one of the benefits of actually practicing kind of using and pulling the rope and understanding where that goes and kind of controlling that so it doesn't get you a penalty on the day. But in terms of the actual kind of movement, that's something that you can kind of obviously practice those pulling movements without having the sled. It's the rope work, which is the handy bit. And there's, again, lots of great techniques, lots of great, look at Woodsy Workout, look at various other people who, go through a lot of these motions, very, very experienced people that I've learned a lot from. For me personally, and this is going to sound a bit like a broken record, it's working out what's best for me. Now, again, my concentration, as I've said in my training and all of this year, has been trying to become a runner, trying to get much stronger at the running. So consequently, this has meant that the other stations, which I'm not comfortable with, but they're much more similar to the training I've done over the last 18 months. It meant that what I've tried to do in those stations is protect my legs. So this has meant that when it comes to the sled pull, I'm all arms based. Now, a lot of people talk about, walking to the front of the box, taking hold of the rope and then walking backwards and pulling and doing that. And I do use that technique sometimes, and you can get a lot kind of faster drive on that. But again, what I like doing is I settle in, I walk back, get that brace position, and then I tend to be kind of hand over hand, or if I'm tired or when we're doing training, what I tend to do is basically it's my right arm that does 70% of the pulling, my left is there to guide, but right is doing the main kind of thrust of the pulling. So it's, for absolute kind of speed and efficiency, using your whole body to, using your legs, your core and your arms to kind of pull is going to give you that bit more speed. I want to leave as much in my legs as possible. So basically just kind of anchoring in, getting that kind of stance and then just getting to that rhythm of feeding the rope. And I'll stand quite wide-legged and I will feed the rope through my legs, between my legs, so the rope will then coil down there. And that is the most efficient way. And as I've said with both the ski and the row, I could probably get it faster doing all out, but I'm just at this point just balancing the efficiency of getting it quick enough for the times that we're aiming for in the most, efficient way from an energy point of view and everything else. And I don't mind taking it out of my arms on the ski because I don't need them for the next few minutes on the next run or even the next station. So that's what I tend to do on the sled, sorry, not the ski, is just really go with the arms, anchor in and just kind of pull, making sure I'm feeding that rope, staying within that box and handing over to the partner. Now as I've said before, we've got 15 meter track at the gym, and we tend to use 12.5 meters of it when we're doing the sled so that we can just do basically 4 lengths, 2 laps with it, and to get the Hyrox distance. So we're always doing kind of short bursts, so we kind of hand over. It's one of the unknown factors on the day, and I will know by the second one at Birmingham how we're going to handle that better, is whether one of us is going to do a full half pull and the other one does the full half pull, or whether we're going to swap halfway. We shall kind of decide on the day and see what kind of feels good. As with a lot of these handovers, if there's not a particularly big penalty in the handover, we typically find it's better to do lots of shorter stints rather than kind of go for it. So row is a key example. The handover time is quite long in the row, to get your feet out. The next person come in. If the feet aren't the same size, you've got to move the brackets, strap them back up, and then get back. And you lose a lot of time in that, which is why we only do one changeover. The sled, you put the rope down, someone else picks the rope up. It's very easy from that point of view. So again, where possible, we tend to, if it's a quick changeover, then we'll just change like burpees is another example. You get tired, stop, change over, because there is no penalty in changing over, because the next person should be right on your heels, ready to kind of go. So find what works for you in terms of how you're going to pull, how you want to pull. Again, part of that is going to be actually having a sled to do it. If you don't have a sled, then just make sure that pull, you do lots of heavy hard pulls. We do TRX rows, we do obviously the weights and bent over rows and all those kind of pulling motions, so the arms are strong. And so then whatever happens, and if you don't have a sled, you've got a good sled pull in the bag, and you can kind of get that. The rope will probably be the only thing if you haven't done the rope ones, because it is different pulling with a rope. And yeah, just kind of getting used to that. So again, I think, and this is maybe wrongly, but it's my opinion, for me, the sled push and the sled pull are almost two of the easiest stations of the 8. If you've got a sled and if you've been able to practice with them and things like that, because there's not a lot of technical. They're very, very quick. And they're not ones that kind of tax you from a cardiovascular. They're just kind of heavy pulling and things like that. So yeah, for me, they're probably the two easiest stations. I would say the hardest stations, if I'm going to say if I'm saying the sleds are the easiest ones, it's a difficult one saying about the hardest ones, because they're not hard necessarily for the station themselves, but I think it's where they come. Sometimes, although I didn't on the last simulation, sometimes I find the lunges, because of where they are in the race, after having done all the runs, those are a little bit harder. They weren't too bad in the last sim, but one of the previous sims they were. Wall balls are always hard, because if you've given everything, you've done your 8K, you've done the 7 stations, you're just running on adrenaline and to get over the line there. So they can be hard. So yeah, I don't know. Farmer's carry again is up there with one of the easier ones, I think. So burpees, I guess, is the other one that there's a particular unfavorite of people. So that is hard. Again, I'll talk specifically about burpees, because it would be very wrong to say that I like burpees, but I've got to appreciate them and get some techniques which kind of work, which you'll have to tune into the next video about burpees to find out about that. So anyway, let's get back on the subject of sled pull. So make sure you use that rope if you've got a sled. Make sure you've done the arm work, and if you can get some practice, even with a battle rope in your gym or something like that, getting the mechanics of kind of pulling it and coiling it and getting used to that motion, then if you've got the strength work base there, then you're just going to sail through the sled pull, hopefully. So anyway, hope that's been useful. Another day down, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.